Welcome to Winchester Hospital Community Health Institute. I'm Sue Powers and I'm the Associate Director of the department. I also have a nursing background. This department, we're all employees of Winchester Hospital. We're located over at Baldwin Park in Mubin, and one of our major focuses is alternative therapy. We have hypnotherapy with Ted Benton. We have acupuncture with Deborah Wood and Michael Arsenault. We have massage with 5 massage therapists. We help people with a variety of health issues such as oncology, pregnancy, myofascial release, pain, people who've been in car accidents, and people who want to come in just for a good relaxation massage. We have reflexology. This is a form of massage for the foot, and this really helps to relax people also. And then we have Reiki. Reiki is a form of energy. It's a form of treatment where there are no hands-on, and it helps build energy for people to help them fight disease as well as to increase their stamina. We have a chiropractic center, and we have Dr. Gary Kane and Dr. Lee Zahn, who run our chiropractic center. They've been with us for over 3 years, and they treat a variety of health issues and help people to get back into their occupation, to work, and to release pain. It's great to see people walk in here and walk out relieved from their pain. We have yoga, which is a form of exercise as well as relaxation. It stretches the body and helps people to relieve the stress that they're dealing with. At this time, I'd like to turn the program over to Dr. Ted Benton, who is a hypnotherapist.
Okay, thanks, Sue, for the introduction. I'm Ted Benton, the staff hypnotherapist at the Community Health Institute here at Winchester Hospital. It's a pleasure to have Tina here today with us to do some hypnosis. I'm going to actually teach her how to do self-hypnosis. All hypnosis is actually self-hypnosis anyway. Tina, you've been in hypnosis thousands of times. Actually, from the moment of birth into puberty, a child is in waking hypnosis about 75% of the day. And one of my specialties is actually doing hypnosis with children. I work with children from the age of 4 up through the teens. Last year I had the opportunity to go to California, and I taught about 60 therapists how to do hypnosis with children. So if I have a specialty, it would be hypnosis with children, but I do hypnosis for lots of other things also. I do hypnosis to prepare people for surgery. I do hypnosis with pregnant women to reduce and remove the anxiety about birthing. I do hypnosis for pain management, for anxiety, for habit modification or habit elimination, for example, smoking. So some things that are nice to know about hypnosis. Number one is it's natural. And hypnosis is a universal human experience. Everyone in the world has been in hypnosis millions of times. We actually dream in hypnosis at night. And the question comes up, well, what is conversation? Well, the most famous hypnotherapist in the world of the last 100 years was a man named Dr. Milton Erickson. And people would ask Erickson over and over, well, what's hypnosis? And he would say, well, hypnosis is a conversation, and that's exactly what it is. If you think of a computer as a model for the human mind, it's a pretty accurate one. You have on the one hand, you have a conscious mind, and on the other hand, you have an unconscious mind. And the conscious mind is comparable to the RAM on a computer, which is about 5% of the drive, and that's your critical, ethical, moral, analytical, judgmental mind. And on the other hand, you have an unconscious mind, which is comparable to the hard drive on a computer, where everything is stored. So everything that's ever happened to you, Tina, from the moment of your birth and to now, and every associated feeling is stored in your unconscious mind. So you literally have billions of bits of information there. So what happens in hypnosis is the conscious mind is set aside, but there's no loss of consciousness. You'll be wide awake. You're going to hear everything that I say. And the unconscious mind becomes very, very active. And I literally have a conversation with your unconscious mind. People ask me every day that. They say to me, they say, Ted, I tried to listen to every word that you spoke. I said, well, you don't have to listen because I'm not speaking to you. And literally, I'm not. I'm having a conversation with your unconscious mind. Do you have any initial questions about hypnosis for me?
None that I can think of at the time.
Okay. Hypnosis is very safe. It's had the full endorsement of the American Medical Association since 1958. You might be curious about the side effects of hypnosis. It's very, very relaxing. I hypnotized a woman years ago for nail biting, and she came out of trance, and I said, well, how do you feel? And she said, well, I'm not going to pay you. I said, why is that? She said, I didn't feel anything. So I said, try to bite your nails, and she couldn't, so I got paid. But she taught me an interesting lesson. And the lesson is sometimes people will come to the hospital for hypnosis with preconceived notion that there's a special feeling that goes with it. There really isn't. Your hands and your toes may or may not tingle. Your body may feel very, very heavy, or it may feel very light, or a combination of those things, okay? But what you will feel is profound and deep, deep relaxation, okay? Hypnosis is still shrouded in mythology. A lot of people are nervous about hypnosis, but that's changing. We're getting better coverage. For example, this program is a good example of that. We're getting better media coverage now in all areas of the press. So any particular questions, any concerns on your part?
How often would I have to come to have this done?
That's a very good question, Tina. I see people 2 or 3 times, and many people I only see once. For example, smokers. I probably treat about 100, 150 smokers a year here in the hospital. And they come in for one session, and I make a tape recording for them, and I teach them self-hypnosis like I'm going to teach you in a moment. And occasionally I'll see somebody for 2 or 3 times. For example, I work with people from the pain clinic here in the hospital, and I typically see a pain patient 3 times over 6 weeks and do pain work with them. The way it works with pain, by the way, when you do hypnosis, you create the relaxation response. And physically, it's impossible to be relaxed and to be in pain at the same time. So you don't use it to cure the pain, but you use it to manage it. Okay? Any other questions? That was a good question, okay? Okay, I'm going to proceed. I'm going to show you how to do self-hypnosis, and you find this to be quite relaxing. And with just a little bit of practice, you'll be able to put yourself into a nice hypnotic state actually in less than a minute. So tell me, do you have a favorite outside place that you like to go to?
The lake.
Any particular lake?
Lake Ossipee
Okay, and where is that?
in New Hampshire.
Okay, what I'd like you to do now, to help you relax, I'd like you to close your eyes. Tina, and I'd like you to breathe in through your nostrils now and fill your lungs up and hold that to your count of 5, and then gently exhale through your lips, always breathing in relaxation and exhaling stress and tension from your body, mind, and spirit. Now, all hypnosis is literally self-hypnosis, so quietly, mentally give yourself the suggestion that you're going to experience hypnosis. Excellent. And repeat the breathing activity one more time now. Breathing in and filling your lungs up and holding that to your count of 5 and gently exhaling. Now, Tina, I'd like you to imagine that you're outside at the lake. And let's imagine that today has been really, really beautiful. And the sun is beginning to set now, and all of the pastel colors that blend together to form the night sky are doing so. And darkness is setting in, and the little bit of movement that you're beginning to experience under your eyes is rapid eye movement or REM sleep. It's just a sign to your conscious mind that you're going into hypnosis. So it's dark now, and the evening star, the very, very first star of the night, is making itself present in your mind's eye. Excellent. And in a magical kind of way now, the star is going to slowly begin to move forward, becoming larger and more shiny. You find this to be wonderfully, wonderfully relaxing now. And in a more fascinating, interesting way now, the star begins to retrace its path and go back into the night sky, becoming smaller and less shiny. Excellent. You're doing a wonderful job relaxing. And pretty soon, Tina, 1 or 2 things will happen. The evening star will either disappear or it will become a star among thousands of other stars. And when that happens, you'll be wonderfully, wonderfully relaxed. Wonderfully relaxed. And you'll always be able to enjoy self-hypnosis. And the more you practice this particular induction, the easier it will become for you to enter into a nice trance. So this is going to be a way for you to help manage your stress now by using self-hypnosis with deep breathing activities. So just continue to relax now. In a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5, and when you hear the number 5, your eyes will open and you'll be wonderfully, wonderfully relaxed. Number 1, feel yourself coming back now. 2, higher and higher. 3, coming back to full conscious awareness. 4, your eyes are beginning to open up now. And 5, your eyes are open, you're wide awake and wonderfully, wonderfully relaxed. How were your visuals? Are they pretty clear?
Pretty clear.
What happened to the star? Did it disappear, or did it become a star among other stars?
There were a lot of stars.
Okay, so that's an excellent imagination, by the way. So you just learned how to do self-hypnosis. Do you feel how relaxed it is, even just with a minute or two? Mm-hmm. Okay, any questions or any surprises?
No.
Okay, well, you did a good job here today, so I want to thank you for coming.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure to do this. And I look forward to you meeting the rest of our staff here.
I'm Dr. Gary Kane.
I'm Dr. Lee Zahn, one of the chiropractors at the Winchester Hospital Chiropractic Center at Baldwin Park in Woburn.
Thank you. Is it unusual to have chiropractors in a hospital setting working for hospitals?
As far as the state of Massachusetts, we were the first chiropractic employees, actual employees of a hospital. So when first the doctors started hearing about the fact that we had a facility or patients, most people are somewhat shocked that there is a chiropractic center in a hospital.
The Winchester Hospital Chiropractic Center is the only chiropractic center in Massachusetts that's hospital-based.
Still.
Still.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a couple other practitioners that are in different areas that are that have some affiliation with a couple hospitals in the South Shore, but as far as being direct employees, they're not. They're kind of working with the hospital or the rehab facilities there.
Okay. Okay. So you're in a unique situation.
Definitely.
Now, what kind of education and training do you have to be a chiropractor?
Chiropractic training is it's a 4-year program after undergraduate college, so it's 4 years of undergraduate and then 4 years of chiropractic college. And it's very similar to medical training up to a certain point. We take courses in gross anatomy, cardiology, biochemistry, physics, radiology. But at the point where medical physicians start to branch off and move to training in pharmacology and surgical type procedures, chiropractors branch off and learn more hands-on techniques with emphasis on orthopedics, manual therapy techniques, and things like that.
The last year of chiropractic education is very much similar to an internship program where we actually begin treating patients with the oversight of clinic doctors. Okay. So they kind of phase you into the actual practice world.
So do you feel like your philosophy of the chiropractic philosophy enhances what the other doctors do, or do you sometimes get a patient in here at the very beginning of the process of finding out, diagnosis and everything?
I think as far as one of the things we noticed originally here at Winchester Hospital, we conducted ourselves very similar to any type of chiropractic center where patients would hear about us, be referred in by friends, family. What we've seen in the last 4.5 years has been the more increase in referrals from primary care physicians. People saying, listen, this is what's worked for other patients, I recommend you go. So we've started to see that increase in influx from some of the OBGYNs, the orthopedists. We've had a couple neurologists refer. So again, it's something that's changed over a period of time.
I'd say about 50% of our patients come here from direct referral from their primary care doctor or orthopedist, as Dr. Kane mentioned.
Okay.
And you'd mentioned about kind of the philosophy aspect. Some of the doctors, one of the things that they've said is, once other things have been exhausted, what do we do? So it's neat to see that they now have something else in their arsenal where they can, and a lot of times, typically in chiropractic, prior to its inclusion in a lot of the healthcare plans, and a lot of people don't understand that we're pretty much on every health insurance, chiropractic was the last stop. I've been everywhere else. We hear that 1,000 times. I've tried everything else, doc, you're my last chance. So now it's kind of a neat thing to see some of the doctors being proactive with that.
In regards to insurance plans, the chiropractic center here, we are providers for every insurance company. Because we're actually in a hospital setting, I'd say about 90% of the insurances do not require a referral for the services to be reimbursed. So it's a nice thing to be able to take that, the financial aspect out of the picture, so we don't really have to worry about that.
One of the things, too, with the chiropractic education is the fact that patient walking in the door, we're trained, first of all, to give a complete evaluation, treatment. We want to find out if the patient's in the right office. So we do a full history. We want to make sure, again, is the low back pain from a classic chiropractic problem that we help every day, or is it a referral from some other system? We've had patients walk in the door that actually had a kidney infection. We were able to get them to the right facility. So, again, it's a little bit of what we see.
Okay.
First visit is similar to most other visits at doctor's offices. You start off filling out paperwork forms and general health questionnaire, insurance forms, things like that. Once we have you in a treatment room or an exam room, we do a thorough history, and as Dr. Kane was mentioning, we want to make sure that you're in the right office. So we ask questions pretty much relating to all sorts of your activity levels, when the pain began, when it started, what makes it better, what makes it worse, things you've tried in the past. So basically a thorough history. And then we do a physical exam, which includes, everything from range of motion to specific joint testing. Chiropractors are very interested in seeing how the joints of the spinal column and extremities are moving. That's a common source of pain. So we do a real physical inspection and palpatory exam. We're actually poking around the joints in the spinal column. We'll send you out for any additional tests that you may need. Sometimes we'll send people for MRI or x-rays. That's one of the real nice things about being in the hospitals. We have a great access and easy access to all sorts of specialists if we need to refer out, or imaging centers. And then usually the treatment will begin on the first visit.
What is a spinal adjustment or spinal manipulation? Again, as far as what a chiropractor does, once we've determined what your problem is, then we use basically a hands-on method to correct that. One of the misconceptions is the fact that, again, it always, focuses around, loud noises or sounds. What the adjustment actually is, it is a specific correction for a joint that's, whether it be slightly fixated. Again, what a joint is supposed to do, if you look here at our little spine, everybody has two joints at every level of their spine as it travels on up their back. What we basically check for as a chiropractor is we're looking for proper mobility. We're looking for symmetry of movement. So again, as someone displays some type of fixation in their spine, if there's a problem where, again, there's muscle spasm as the result of injury, the chiropractic adjustment is a very specific force to correct that. Most often working with your body to do that. Hands-on, most often. There's specific positions we often put a patient into. In 99.9% of the time, it's actually painless. It doesn't cause the actual pain. Sometimes just in the contact of a segment that is painful. If you were to touch someone's neck who's in pain, it's going to be a little uncomfortable. However, the actual adjustment is usually very, very benign as far as discomfort. Would you like to add to that?
Well, just in addition to the spinal adjustments or manipulation, which as Dr. Kane mentioned is associated or commonly thought of when seeing a chiropractor, is that popping noise. But the noise actually comes from a release of carbon dioxide from the joint, just like cracking your knuckles. So that's all the noise is. I'd say that's one of the most common questions we're asked is, what makes that popping noise?
The other question is, can I do it myself?
Which the answer is no. But in addition to spinal adjustments, because chiropractors do a lot more than just spinal manipulation, so we spend a lot of time on ergonomic advice, telling people and teaching people how to sit, proper posture. We do things with electrical muscle stimulation to help calm down the muscles, ultrasound, exercises, rehabilitation type programs. So it's a pretty extensive program once someone starts. Again, people have that adjustment or manipulation that sticks out in their mind, but there's a lot more that happens in a chiropractic office.
So, sort of walk me through what kind of presentations do you see? Do you see a lot of people come in with stiff necks? Is there one thing more than the other?
We see the gamut Again, it's nose to the toes at times. We see a lot of patients. Again, some of our primary referrals, I mentioned before, OBGYN. See a lot of pregnant women. We have specialized tables that a person in their 9th month of pregnancy can lay face down. The table drops away. So they're able to work very comfortably on their low back, their upper back. We see a lot of geriatric patients, pediatrics, from injuries, falls. So again, it's a wide array. Headache patients, low back. Yeah. Think of any others.
Yeah, low back, headaches, people involved in car accidents is another common one. Disc herniations, disc bulges, sciatica are pretty much the common stuff. We see this practice really focuses on musculoskeletal complaints. So that's the things we mentioned before.
Okay, just you were talking about pregnant women. Have you ever done anything for women in labor to help with the pain, or is that something you would?
You know, some of the people ask us, well, you know, does it help with the actual labor itself? It's hard to say. You know, again, what would they have done if we hadn't treated them? It's hard to say. However, a lot of the women that on their 2nd or 3rd pregnancy that didn't get chiropractic care in the past will sometimes remark, I had a lot more comfort through the end stages of my pregnancy. And they said, you know, it seemed to go well, it seemed to go better, you know, I had less back labor, I had less back pain during the actual delivery. It's difficult to decide and to really get that information out there as far as substantiated research. But again, just from what we've heard from patients, and they return with multiple kids, so we know that the benefit is definitely there. And the fact that the OBGYNs have continued to refer it's an exciting thing that we're able to offer a service to them and to their patients who sometimes in the past were basically told, you know, you have to ride this out. There's not much we can do.
Yeah, in regards to research, there's been just a tremendous amount in the last, I'd say, 10 years or so. But significant studies have come out about treatment of spinal manipulation for low back pain. Recommendations by different government agencies have recommended that spinal manipulation be the first course of treatment before you know, other such modalities, at least a trial course of manipulation. A big study just came out at Duke University showing the efficacy for chiropractic treatment for treating people with tension and migraine headaches. Lots of studies on disc bulges and protrusions and how chiropractic can be very effective in treating those. So there's a lot of studies coming out.
It's been interesting, too, to see how many, like the British Medical Journal, New England Journal of Medicine, again, some classic medical facilities are coming out saying, yes, we're in support of the data stating that spinal manipulation is a viable option, sometimes the first line of defense for patients with low back pain, neck pain. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize about our facility here, we were given one of the largest private grants that our profession has ever received to study osteoarthritis and its cause of low back pain. So we've had an ongoing study for about 2.5 years covering in excess of 200, maybe like 240 patients that we've seen in here, and which will hopefully be hailed in our profession as one of the largest and most effective studies to prove what we do is effective. But again, the results aren't in yet, so we're not allowed to discuss that as yet.
Where did the grant come from?
The grant came from the Eleanor Farrington Foundation. It was a private grant. We applied for it, and they were looking for one of her wishes was that they do some new research to find something that will aid patients with arthritis. And when we presented the information, the factual data and research to back up chiropractic, they sent us the grant. So it was an exciting thing for us.
So did I ask you everything?
I think you covered a lot.
Now, I do have a question. Are you just really lucky or really good that you two got these positions?
You know,
Is
it's
this on camera?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna, one of the things it's kind of neat. It's most things in life it's based on relationship, and one of the things that Lee and I did upon leaving school is we really worked on establishing professional relationships, working relationships with the MRI center, medical doctors. Dr. Zahn has had tremendous referability back and forth with many orthopedists who have, really helped to establish his practice and what we're doing here. So I kind of speaking for you, but it was, just a lot of work that we never, if anybody told me I'd be practicing in a hospital, that, I'd have Winchester Hospital on my cards when I was leaving school. I would have told them they were crazy. So, it was the right place at the right time, but also the fact that, and they did their due diligence, they interviewed many chiropractors, and again, they came down to, what we do, and they came and watched how we treat our patients. I don't know if you can add to that.
Well, I was just going to say, when I finished up chiropractic college, during my last rotation, I spent it with an orthopedic surgeons group. And, once they saw that, chiropractors can handle most of these musculoskeletal complaints that are coming into the office, soon I went from a position of observing where they would say, hey, Dr. Zahn, why don't you go, examine Mr. Jones in room 2 and let me know what you think. And so that relationship was kind of fostered. And at the same time, the hospital was getting phone call after phone call saying, hey, we need good chiropractors. Do you know of any? And the hospital really didn't know of anyone in particular other than, personal experiences maybe with one chiropractor, or a doctor had a good experience with another. So that kind of brought about the idea of, hey, we need a chiropractic department here. And then that's what kind of got the ball rolling. They discussed with the orthopedic surgeons, hey, do you know anyone that, may be a good fit in the hospital setting? So that's basically how it came about, as Dr. Kane was saying, just relationships you foster with the various, medical community is a big factor. Definitely a little luck involved as well.
Yeah, I practiced, across the street, and so I used to go over and spend some time with the radiologist and just sit down with and again, just concerned. I'd shoot my own X-rays prior, and now it's a great thing to know that the radiologists look at all my films. So I'd take over a question, sit down, talk with them, and again, what are we seeing here? What's going on? And again, just establishing relationship. And I think once the medical community starts saying, hey, wow, this is a viable option, and then we were just kind of two of the candidates that they looked at.
Now, is taking films of the spine part of an initial consultation? Do you automatically do that, or is that just something that you decide later on if you need to do?
We don't automatically take X-rays or send people for MRIs just as a sake of when they come in, you get a set of X-rays. Not the case. Usually there has to be some indication. A common factor would be trauma. Someone fell down a flight of stairs. We want to make sure nothing's broken. But I'd say if we had to, maybe 35% of our patients maybe would have X-rays taken of a particular region of their spine.
And the fact that a lot of patients are coming from other medical offices being referred in, many of them have their plain films already or MRI. But we've noticed here at Winchester, just the fact that they added the Winchester Hospital name, we have, as compared to my previous practice, I have a lot more cases of people coming in here in a lot more severe pain. And again, tack the hospital name on. So again, that's one of the elements of practice here. Has been we're seeing a lot more of the serious cases than I really expected to see, or maybe if I saw one a month across the street, I'm now seeing 2 a week of people that come in that are carried in, and then sometimes we'll look at them and say, well, you might have just made a first stop at the emergency room first, but it's neat to see us being able to kind of be a part of that community, then make the proper referrals if necessary.
Okay. Can you think of anything that we haven't?
Talk about backpack?
Yeah. One of the things that we just mentioned, backpacks, we go into some of the local schools. We've been into some of the schools in Winchester, and it's just kind of a neat experience. We go in, we show a video that explains, one of the growing epidemics, and it has been children being hurt by backpacks, lifting, carrying, moving improperly, too much weight.
It's had a wonderful reception with most of the local schools around here wanting us to come in, teaching their students, as Dr. Kane mentioned, how to bend, lift, twist, how to carry their backpacks, how to pack their backpacks. Oftentimes we'll have them come to the office or even in the school, we'll weigh their backpack. And, the rule of thumb is about 10 to 12% of your body weight should be in your backpack.
At the most.
At the most. And we see, 120-pound kids with, 35, 40 pounds of books in their bag, and we go through it. And you take out a Game Boy, and you take out a pair of sneakers, and a lot of stuff they really don't need. So it's just educating the students about that. And we as Dr. Kane also mentioned, we've seen a lot of proactive referrals from the pediatricians who are sending their patients here for treatment of non-traumatic neck pain or back pain. These are not kids who fell down a flight of stairs. It's just every day I'm lugging this backpack back and forth to school, and now I'm getting headaches. So it's been a great program. Schools love it, and students seem to like it.
See a lot of student athletes, a lot of kids that come in and they want to be back playing as soon as they can. So just kind of both of our backgrounds, Dr. Zahn's gone on for some additional training in sports medicine, sports chiropractic, just being athletes, and the reason I'm a chiropractor, breaking every bone in my body. We have kind of an ear for that also. We see almost all of our patients, whether they're 6 or 60, we see them a lot of times as patients. So what in your life do you want to do? What can we get you back to doing? We'll have a patient come in and 65-year-old woman say, I really want to bowl. Well, great. How would we rehab you? How do we get you back to that point? And that's one of our goals. We're not necessarily just, pain docs. We're looking to help change someone's life, get them back to something that they've maybe lost out on for 20, 30 years. And that's some of our greatest satisfaction. People can come back, or they'll send us pictures of them snowmobiling or doing things they haven't done for 10 years, 5 years. So that's kind of one of the exciting aspects of what we do.
And a big tenet of chiropractic is to treat the cause of a particular problem, not just the symptom it may cause. So for example, if someone comes in with right hip pain, we want to look at the knee, and we want to look at the foot, and make sure that there maybe isn't a problem at the feet, which is kind of causing a little imbalance, which is just showing itself in the hip. Obviously, we'll examine the hip as well. But it's amazing how many people come in, just like we said, for a hip problem, and you can fit them for orthotics in their shoes and correct a little imbalance in their feet, and the hip pain goes away. So again, it's just really trying to find the cause of their problem. Or maybe they're sitting at work and with poor posture 8 hours a day, and just a matter of adjusting their computer monitor and helping with their seat adjustments, can make a big difference.
My name is Mike Arsenault, and I'm a licensed acupuncturist here at Winchester Hospital's Community Health Institute.
What exactly is acupuncture?
Acupuncture is the insertion of fine needles into acupuncture points and meridians on the body, and it's part of traditional Chinese medicine, which is a 3,000-year-old healing system that incorporates acupuncture, Chinese herbal medicine, exercise, Qi cultivation exercises like Tai Chi, Qigong, and also some dietary recommendations.
How does the acupuncture work?
How does acupuncture work? When people ask me this, I usually just say it works well. The underlying theory in Chinese medicine is, as I said, a few thousand years old. The Western explanation of it is not complete yet. So a number of studies have shown it to, for instance, release endorphins, or seem to change the balance of neurotransmitters along nerve pathways. Other studies have shown it to diminish pain receptor activity in the brain, but the Western explanation is incomplete as of yet. In Chinese terms, the idea is that the body in balance is healthy, and when it's out of balance, you're using the needles to promote balance and health. A meridian is an energy pathway, and there are a number of them along the body, both on the dorsal and the ventral aspect, or the front and the back of the body, on all the limbs, across the torso and the back. And the points are located along these pathways. And the applications of the points depend on what the underlying signs and symptoms are, the pattern of imbalance that we're trying to treat. And the points that we choose along the meridians depend on what we're trying to treat.
Okay, and what are some of the things you treat?
Most common things that people refer themselves for are pain, because people just have the idea that acupuncture is effective with pain, and it often is. And we treat back pain often, neck pain, old injury, new injury, tennis elbow. Those are some of the more common complaints. But people also come for digestive problems, people come for stress, anxiety, general malaise or not feeling well, sleep issues, even irritable bowel, ulcers, heartburn, so you name it. And also some Western conditions where there are side effects from meds. We use acupuncture to minimize the side effects. So for instance, in treatment of cancer with chemo and radiation, sometimes the side effects are minimized through acupuncture. Or for instance, in pregnancy, when people have morning sickness, it's treated through acupuncture.
Now, can acupuncture be used in an anesthesia setting? Or?
It can, but I'm not sure on the legal implications here in the state. There's been a lot of research, and in China it's used as a complementary therapy, not as a substitute in most cases for anesthesia. What they do is people who are at risk for anesthesia issues, or people who elect to use acupuncture, they'll use them hand in hand, where they'll use less anesthesia and the acupuncture will pick up the difference. And I've seen videos of surgery in China, open chest or even open cranium surgeries, where people are conscious, drinking water and speaking, and still in surgery with acupuncture making up the difference.
Are they ever used in labor for?
Yes, once in a while, if the hospital allows, the person to have privileges and treat at the hospital, or with midwives. There are a few acupuncturists who are also midwives prior to becoming acupuncturists, and it's used to help to speed labor and also to deal with the pain of labor. Winchester Hospital has had acupuncture here for at least a few years. Prior to me coming on board, a colleague of mine and a classmate was here for a good year and a half. And prior to that, there was another acupuncturist who was here for a couple of years.
So, compared to 15 years ago, how has the acceptance of acupuncture in the medical field?
I think acupuncture has become more and more accepted by Western doctors. It's been around in the U.S. and in this state in particular for 30 plus years. But within recent years, with more media coverage and more exposure, more studies, and some approval by the NIH and the World Health Organization, then it's begun to gather steam, and doctors are more aware of it and also more open to it. So sometimes now here in a hospital setting, doctors will refer over, where probably in past years it was a rare occasion when a doctor would refer for acupuncture.
So can we take a look at the needle?
Sure.
See how long they are?
Yep. I can show you a simple treatment. For instance, what I would do as far as a local treatment for tennis elbow. Acupuncture being holistic, you would typically treat the whole body. So there would be local points for a condition like tennis elbow, but there would also be distal points farther down the meridians and the pathways, and specific points that related, for instance, to moving blood or to helping the tendons and ligaments. But for the sake of the camera, we'll just do a few local points to show what the needles look like and what they would be. So typically you would just swab the points, and in a pain condition I would use palpation to determine what was tender, and use some musculoskeletal points that are specific to just this pain and just this imbalance, but also use some standard points around the elbow region.
Now the needles, are they disposable or?
All the needles are single use and disposable. They even have an expiration date, and nowadays they're just recycled or thrown out, but not used again. And they're in a small tube where the needle's slightly longer than the tube, and you simply put it on the skin and tap it through, and then move the tube away and move the needle to the proper depth. And they're very, very solid and thin. They don't have a hole in them, so unlike a doctor's needle, they don't have to gouge the flesh to get in. Just tap them right in, and if anything, you might feel a slight sensation on the surface. And if ever there is discomfort, you simply change the angle or move the needle. But very rarely do you feel much of anything. Did you feel it? So if I were to do a couple points for tennis elbow, that's one main point, and I would palpate around to find tenderness, and maybe another point here, and move it to the proper depth. And then probably points further down the forearm, and as I mentioned earlier, other points on the body, sometimes leg points, head, even the ear. So another point for tennis elbow would be something like this.
So depending on where you're putting those in, you use different lengths?
Yeah, the size of the person, the condition, what you're treating. These are 1-inch needles and are person who's serving as an example here is not really a tennis elbow, patient. So I'm just showing with the example how, I would probably go deeper on some of these, and if it were a larger person, more muscular person, I would use deeper needles. So these are about a ½ an inch in, some of these. And if it were a larger guy, big muscles, I might go even 3/4 or even an inch on some of the points. And on low back points, sometimes would treat even deeper, 1.5 inches, 2 inches, depending on what the condition is and the size of the person.
Now, how did you learn this? Where was your training?
Yeah, my own training was at New England School of Acupuncture, which is in Watertown, and it's the oldest school of acupuncture in the country. It's a 3.5-year program, and when you're there, you have to treat under supervision. There's an assistantship where you also study under another licensed practitioner. You have to do a bunch of Western prereqs, and then after completing the program, you're licensed by the state through the State Board of Registry and Medicine, the same board that registers doctors. The age range of patients that I currently see is about from 6 to 90. I have a lot of seniors in Winchester because we have a wonderful grant through Mount Vernon House that allows seniors of Winchester to come in for any of the services here at Community Health Institute for a very low copay. So I have patients who are in their 90s, and then I also have patients who are 6 years old and coming in for musculoskeletal problems, coming in for digestive problems, asthma, so all ages.
Now, is acupuncture covered by most insurance?
Very few insurances actually cover acupuncture as of yet. They're beginning to start. Some of the better union plans cover, and some allow for patients to pay and they reimburse the patients. But most of the plans now are discount plans that allow for a 10 or 20% discount, but they don't reimburse the provider. So most providers, and the hospital included, are not going in for that because it's just undercutting the services, basically. The treatments are $60 here at the hospital, and a typical course of treatment is usually week to week initially in the beginning for a musculoskeletal problem, for instance, with the idea that you're chipping away at the problem, and before it falls back into its old pattern, try to hit it again. And as it improves, you would spread treatment out further, and if the improvements were still there, you would spread it out even further or discontinue. And as far as the length of the course of treatment, it's hard to tell because it depends on the severity of the condition, the person's general health. But for instance, tennis elbow, there was a study recently that showed even difficult cases of tennis elbow, between 4 and 7 treatments was the average for acupuncture to resolve it, even cases that had been there for multiple years and had not responded to other modalities.
Are there any side effects of acupuncture?
The worst side effect I've ever seen is a bruise, and that's it. Other side effects I haven't heard much of, actually. Some people, from the relaxation aspect of it, the release of endorphins, can feel overly relaxed and feel a little tired afterwards, but it's probably a good thing. It's for people who are usually not used to being relaxed, so they feel a little spent afterwards, but most people feel very relaxed, and I haven't seen any other side effects than bruising. The first visit, I would have the patient fill out a lengthy health history intake that looks at all the bodily systems, and then go through a intake interview asking them about the signs and symptoms, the history of the condition, and other related conditions, their meds, their medical history, and then get right to a treatment, which would be, depending on the presentation, inserting 10 to 15 needles, letting them sit for 15-20 minutes, and possibly using heat in addition, or on occasion using electroacupuncture, and sometimes incorporating massage afterwards if it's for a musculoskeletal condition. And also there's the possibility of incorporating herbs. We also have Chinese herbs here at Community Health Institute and use them sometimes if the person is not on meds otherwise.
watching SMN, the Smoke Screeners Movie Network.
Hi, I'm Cisco.
And I'm Leonardo DiCaprio.
Take two. You wish. His real name is Larry. Today on the show, we're going to show you how to go to the movies with your eyes open to the facts.
Here, take a look.
We know you are watching. We know everything about you. You cannot resist the images we create. Settle down. Struggling will do you no good.
There's no way, man. You can't make me do it.
Just relax. Listen to our message. We have ways of making you smoke. All's well. Just watch the screen. Watch the screen. Watch the screen. Screen.
Stop the projector. Cut. That's not real. You guys know there's never been a movie made that pushes smoking like that. Hit the lights. Movie makers would never get in your face. They're not trying to make you smoke. It's much more subtle than that. But if you don't think about what you're watching, some of the things you see on the screen can get into your head.
Movie stars get blown up, wrestle with aliens, and jump off of buildings without getting hurt. But you don't go trying this stuff at home, do you?
Well, you tried that Superman thing off the garage once. But in real life, when you see an actor smoke 10 packs of butts in a 2-hour movie, that's just as whacked as all those other stunts.
I hate when she's right.
Sure, there's lots of smoking in the movies, but Hollywood isn't trying to brainwash you.
Take a look.
Ever since people were making movies, people were smoking in movies. In the early days, there were some unwritten rules about who was allowed to light up. Men could smoke whenever they wanted, but women had to play evil characters to smoke on the screen. By the 1930s, it seemed like every movie being made was being shot through a haze of smoke, and every actor on the screen was smoking something. In the movies, the message was clear. Smoking was cool, glamorous, and for everyone. After World War II, directors slowly stopped using the black and white film that made a swirl of smoke look so tempting. Then, the government published a report that linked smoking to lung cancer. That's when people really started to see through the smoke screen.
Today, fewer and fewer people smoke in real life.
And for a while, smoking slowed down in the movies too, but it didn't last. I mean, aliens smoked in Men in Black, everyone smoked in Reality Bites, and even the characters in Home for the Holidays smoked them when they had them.
Where'd they get all those butts?
Well, tobacco companies used to pay to have their stuff put in movies, kind of like a commercial. It's called product placement. They promised to stop, but some people think it's still going on.
All this smoking is just not happening in the real world. In fact, in most public places, it's not even legal to smoke. And it's gross.
3 out of 4 high school seniors say that smoking is so disgusting that they'd rather date someone who doesn't smoke.
Movie makers use smoking for lots of reasons. If you know the facts, you won't get fooled by the smoke screen.
Cigarettes and cigars are movie-making tools. Writers, actors, and directors use them to make their characters look nervous, relaxed, strong, weak, even glamorous.
But don't forget, these are characters in a movie. They're not real people.
Let's face it, there's always going to be some smoking in the movies.
But if you know why it's there, you'll be able to see the truth about smoking on the screen.
So the next time you go to the movies, remember 2 things. Never stop looking through the smoke screen for the facts, and always leave your little brother at home. See you next time.
I started smoking when I was 10 because I wanted to look older, and I got hooked. Cigarettes gave me asthma and bronchitis, but I couldn't quit. I didn't quit until I got emphysema and had a lung removed. I was 24. I'm 26 now. The medication, which I'll take for the rest of my life, left me with this fat face and a hump on my neck. I started smoking to look older, and I'm sorry to say, it worked.
This week on Smoke Screeners, get the inside scoop on why cigars seem to be back in style. Plus, Hollywood behind the scenes. Find out how the people who make movies use smoking to make movie magic. And get the latest news and tips on how not to get sucked into the tobacco trap. Now, this is Smoke Screeners. From Studio B, here's Todd Logan.
Hi, I'm Todd Logan.
Welcome to another edition of Smoke Screeners, the only show that shows you how to use your head when you go to the movies. In the news recently, cigars have been popping up all over the movie screen, so it might not be an accident that cigar sales have more than doubled since 1993. Stogie smoking heroes might look cool in movies like Independence Day, but in real life they're sucking in more nicotine than cigarette smokers, and they're 10 times more likely to die from mouth cancer. Next time you go to the movies, take a good look at who's smoking what. Some movies show so much smoking you think they were advertising specific cigarette brands. This is called product placement, and it's the subject of tonight's I-Team Report. Now here's Lily Quinn.
Thanks, Todd. In 1970, Congress banned cigarette commercials from being shown on TV. Lots of people believe that that's when the big tobacco companies started pushing to get their stuff on the movie screen. But cigarettes and cigars aren't the only things that have been advertised at the movies. In 1982, E.T., everyone's favorite alien, came to check us Earthlings out. E.T. It was no mistake that along the way, E.T. discovered Reese's Pieces. The company that makes the candy actually paid the movie makers to use the candy in the movie. E.T. never said go buy this stuff, but he made it look so good that Reese's sales went way up. Good. Movies don't hit you over the head with product placement. You have to read between the lines. Like in the movie Twister, when a soda company helped save the day. Or how about when the Flintstones visited Rock Donald's? That's also product placement. When it comes to smoking, cigarette companies have paid big bucks to get their stuff on the screen. The Liggett Tobacco Company paid $30,000 to show Eve cigarettes in the movie Supergirl. The guys who make Marlboros paid over $42,000 to have Lois Lane smoke them in Superman 2. And in 1988, Philip Morris Tobacco beat them all by paying $350,000 to show Lark cigarettes in the James Bond movie License to Kill. In 1990, cigarette companies claimed that they would stop paying to show their stuff in the movies, but it's still not against the law. So remember, product placement is like a commercial, but you can't turn it off. Now you know how to see through the smoke screen. We'll be right back.
Did you know? The typical smoker spends about $700 a year on cigarettes. That's enough money to buy 14 new video games. Or you could buy 162 comic books and take 40 friends out for pizza and a movie. Or you could get enough nail polish to do your nails 70,000 times. Or hit the slopes with your brand new boots, bindings, and board. Or you could buy 1,400 trees and plant a 3-acre forest.
We know you people well. We know what to do. You see rappers with cigars, you want to smoke them too. See, we in the tobacco industry need the trend to catch on. If they blow up in hip-hop, cigars will stay bomb. I know you've seen cigars in videos.
True.
We want them in there, so we'll make the dough. If you bite it, then you'll light it. It's a hot look. Makes you come off upscale while your lungs cook. You'll feel the effects long after we're gone, making cheese while you wheeze. Thanks for putting us on.
Don't let the tobacco companies play you.
Welcome back to Smoke Screeners.
Next time you go to the movies, think about all the choices writers, directors, actors, and technical people have to make. Now, let's go behind the scenes and find out how the people who make movies use smoking to make movie magic.
The director will use smoking to show character in a lot of ways. You can show a character that is afraid, a character that is nervous or anxious.
Cigarettes and tobacco serve as a kind of a shorthand. For instance, let's say you wanted to say someone is really hassled and they're in a hurry. What would be easier than to have somebody light a cigarette, take one drag off the cigarette, throw it away?
If I were to get cigars, it's usually to show a character as a villain or a gangster. If I were to get long cigarettes, it's usually for a woman who's supposed to be sophisticated or a model. If I were to get pipes, it's usually for a professor or somebody who's supposed to be intellectual.
When you see somebody smoking on the screen, about 1% of that cigarette smoke is coming from the cigarette. 99% of the smoke is generated by a special effects crew behind the scene.
If you can put a character in the shot that is smoking a cigarette, then everyone is going to believe that all that artificial smoke that you put behind them came from that cigarette or other cigarettes in the room.
Directors can use smoking as a simple way to get characters in and out of a scene. And when they're out of the scene, anything can happen.
Actors use cigars, cigarettes, matches, and packages to give them something to do with their hands.
There are ways to use your face, your body, and a true actor doesn't need that kind of hand prop. And if you really need to do it, Use a pencil. Use other things.
For instance, I can sit here right now, and instead of smoking, I can twist my ring, and that gives me something to do.
As a makeup artist, for me to turn a non-smoker into a character that would look as if they smoked on screen, I would darken under the eyes, add some wrinkles, make the skin look just an overall unhealthy look. A non-smoking actor who's made up to look like a smoker has the ability at the end of the day just to wipe the makeup off and look healthy again, which is not a possibility for a smoker.
We got hooked on all the propaganda that was put out by the cigarette companies, and I don't think that this next generation coming up should be as foolish as we were.
Kids know smoking is dangerous, and it may look glamorous in the movie, that's okay for the 2 hours, but it's a different matter when you want to make that decision for your own personal life in your real everyday life.
All we're really trying to say is get real. If a character doesn't have a good reason to smoke, or if when they're smoking, it's not realistic, maybe the people who make movies could just have them do something else. Take a look at this clip from Hunt for Red October. Sean Connery's a captain of a Russian nuclear sub, and one of the guys in his crew is hanging out in the control room and smoking like a chimney. Do you really think that in real life anyone would be able to light up in the control room of a nuclear sub? But sometimes smoking is the easiest way to tell you a lot about a character in a little bit of time. When you go to the movies, this is the kind of stuff you need to watch out for. See you next time on Smoke Screeners.
All the facts and twice the funk. Get ready for Special FX. Now, here's Spud.
How you doing? Today on the show, we're gonna talk about how special effects guys use all kinds of cool tricks to make things look real in the movies. Like this. Oh no, man, I cut my hand. I'm bleeding. Like lots of things you see in the movies, this isn't real. The bottle is made out of sugar. And this cut, it's made out of rubber. When you look through a movie camera, sometimes real trees don't look as good as fake trees. Timber! Sometimes milk that's made from glue looks better than milk that's made by a cow. When things don't look real on a movie screen, you're probably not gonna believe what the characters are saying, and you'll probably think that the movie bites. So, props and effects people use whatever they can think of to make things look good on camera. When it comes to smoking, they really get creative. Writers, actors, and directors use smoking for all kinds of movie-making reasons. When an actor smokes on the screen, it's supposed to tell you something about who that character is. But we don't always need these hints. I mean, wouldn't Leonardo DiCaprio still be cool if he lost the butts in Romeo and Juliet? And did Jeff Goldblum really have to start smoking when it was time to save the world on Independence Day? When Linda Hamilton was getting ready to do Terminator 2, she worked out, got incredibly buffed, and then she smokes in the movie? If she smoked for real, she could never outrun the Terminator. In real life, even your first cigarette can cause shortness of breath. Coughing. Wheezing. Dizziness. And nausea. And if you keep on smoking, your teeth will look like this. And your lungs will look like this. Not very glamorous, huh? So remember, when it comes to making movies, just because something looks real doesn't mean it is real. Later.
Now you know the facts. Let's ask Hollywood to clean up the screen. Be a smoke screener.